Good afternoon. Welcome to Mike and the Hoss on Wolfeboro Community Television. I'm Mike Danais.
And I'm Charlie Hossack.
Let's go to the sponsors right away.
All right.
Morrissey's Porch and Pub.
Skelly's Market.
And Downtown Grill and Cafe. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you for your support.
All right, let's start talking about some sports.
Okay.
Locally, we know that NHIA has given the green light
Yes.
for sports with guidelines. And they've left it up to districts. Mm-hmm. And our district is not making a decision for a couple weeks.
Right.
That's what our
That's what we've heard.
Yeah. But they have started.
They have. They've started some
practicing.
small group practices, and I know that as we've said before, football's going. I know that guys soccer is going, and I suspect there are probably some more sports that we're missing that are going. But at least we know that it's they can and that started. I know the lacrosse had a clinic last week, so that was good. That was a successful clinic for the lacrosse team.
So. We've seen the Senior Babe Ruth season ended. The boys lost, I guess it would be this third round in the playoffs. Good season. Thank you to Camp Place. I also want to do a shout out to Skelly's Market and Durand Independent Insurance for sponsoring the team.
Yeah, and that's huge.
Their generous donations to that team makes the price palpable because it does cost a decent amount of money for insurances and umpires and so on.
Right.
And what they did is certainly helpful, and they've both been very helpful in any kind of baseball program that we've been running over the years. Yeah. So thanks Kelly's Market and Durand Independent Insurance.
Thank you.
I got something that came up the other day. Yeah. We were involved with the private baseball leagues over the summer. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of lacrosse tournaments going on over the summer in New Hampshire, more than they've ever had because Massachusetts wasn't allowing them, so they're all coming up here. Right. Private lacrosse leagues, all over the place. Private softball leagues, all over the place. Mm-hmm. And the AAU, model. Yeah. Is public school sports in jeopardy right now because of we know that private schools, because of COVID, the phone's ringing off the hook at private schools and Catholic schools and whatever. Yeah. That they're trying to get their kids into that because public schools operate under a different set of rules.
They do.
Yeah. Same thing's happening with sports. Right. That parents are looking for backup just in case their kids don't have a season. Or if their season's just so restricted that they don't feel it's worth it. Mm-hmm. Are public sports, I shouldn't say public sports, are school sports in jeopardy?
Yeah, and I think we talked a little bit about this before, and I think they are. If we don't, as far as our district, if we don't get a season going, then I think a lot of our athletes, especially our I guess I would say our top tier athletes, are going to move on to private organizations, the AAUs of the world. So, in soccer, that might be like a Seacoast United that's, going to scoop up
in Wolfeboro again.
Who's already here, who's going to scoop up a player, or who's going to say, let's put together the team of your, 15 best players, which essentially might be your varsity team. The same thing with, baseball, there's fall baseball. I mean, that's going to run. But I think you're going to see the same thing with sports such as lacrosse. I'm not really in the field hockey world, but I could certainly see something like that happening. Volleyball, it already happens. I mean, I think the only sport that really doesn't have it is football.
Yet.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I don't. But with the insurance thing, who knows? But I think they are in jeopardy because I think there are organizations out there that are saying, you know what? If you're not going to have a season, we're still going to have a season, and we're going to call up your kids and have them come play for us.
And I think the phone's ringing on a lot of these. And I think you had mentioned the top tier athletes, which means that at least going to leave those mid to lower players, as far as whatever sport it is, kind of in limbo.
It does.
And
it really essentially would leave your JV players.
And so it's really kind of a pivotal point. We talked about education and kids going to private school. I know that the school that we have in town, they're looking for more dorm space because they have so many requests to come in, and that's a financial thing for them.
And I think I mentioned to you a private school down south. They ended up down in Exeter. They ended up taking over, I guess it was the Exeter Inn, just for more dorm space. They said we're going to pay for it, and so they're just I think the private schools are going to benefit, and the private school that we always talk about that's kind of a thorn on our side is St. Thomas, right? So St. Thomas, they're full opening, and they are planning on having sports, even if it's not within the NHIAA. They're planning to compete in a Catholic league. There were talks of that.
They probably should be anyway.
I agree with that. So maybe this would be a great thing for that.
But I think that's part of the reason why the NHIA is really, really being insistent that we need to have sports, because we're going to lose these sports.
We are.
We're going to lose them if we don't have them. Other leagues are going to crop up to fill it in, and there's talk about it in hockey. If hockey doesn't happen, that there's going to be another league in New Hampshire that fills that
void. Yeah.
And that's going to be a money-making league. Mm-hmm. And I don't see them going away next year when the vaccine comes out.
Right.
And so it's going to be difficult for teams to support their own programs, because their better hockey players or better basketball players or so on are going to be going in different directions.
Right. And speaking of basketball, the AAU basketball program is running strong this summer. They're already going. They're playing. And I was surprised by that. I have a family member that participates in that over in Concord, and I was like, wow, they're playing inside and all that. Like, I was stuck on the we play outside stuff.
Yeah.
And they're going strong, and they've been going strong for the past month or so.
Yeah. So I think it's something to keep an eye on as we move forward through this. And I know the NHIA is thinking about it, because I've seen tweets from them that they are aware of the threat to New Hampshire public sports right now from the AAU teams.
Right.
And I think the school districts need to do it, and we've talked about this many times, how sports are more than just sports when it comes to a school.
Right.
It's for many kids, it's the reason why they come into school.
Mm-hmm.
And if they can get their sports through their private program,
mm-hmm.
there's not as much of an incentive to come into school. Next thing you know, they're homeschooling or remote learning.
That's right.
So
that's right.
Something to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Colleges are really starting to fall through some. There is no MAC conference.
Right.
There is no Big Ten conference. Mm-hmm. There is no. Well, I should say that they don't think there's a Big Ten conference. They didn't have the vote yet.
Right.
But apparently, they did a straw poll or whatever that they call that, and they were. Doesn't look good.
It doesn't look good for the Big Ten.
Pac-10.
Yeah.
Nothing in the Pac-10. Big 12 says that they're planning at this point on going forward. Mm-hmm. The ACC says they're planning on going forward. Mm-hmm. Ivy League is not. No. I don't believe.
Think about this. This is an opportunity, and I bet there's some divisions are thinking about this conferences, that if you're the one or two only, think of all the attention that you're going to get.
Yeah.
Like this could be for them, and I hate to say that using COVID as a financial gain, but this could be for these universities.
Well, there are some schools that are in the Big Ten that we're not on board with not having sports, that are trying to jump to the Big 12.
Sure.
And college is tough. It's not, and I think we've said this many times, it's not playing the sport that is threatened. It's when these kids go off into their different directions.
Right. That's
afterwards.
the problem.
And we're talking about kids that are 18 to 22 years old. Yeah. That's not your most responsible demographic in the world.
Not at all.
And, these guys, and we've seen the stories of football teams, 26, 27 kids testing positive.
Right.
They haven't even started practicing yet. They're just doing get-togethers. Weight training, and they're testing positive.
Mm. You make such a great point, Mike, that it's not the sport. Playing the sport itself is probably pretty safe.
Yeah.
It's just the extracurricular activities.
Yeah, and I think the older you get, it's like a bell curve almost. The older you get, the more risky it is, and then as you become more like the professional athletes we'll talk about in a second, a little bit more responsible. That's their livelihoods.
Yeah, that's right.
As our kids are not driving yet, so they don't have access as much to get into trouble.
Right.
I don't think they're going to bars anyway at this point, but
I don't think so.
But it's access. Whereas a college student, they're away from home. They've come on campus. Yep. They've been living with their parents for the past 6 months. They're tired of that.
Yep.
And they want to let loose.
Yeah. A lot of freedom.
And so I think colleges have a real big challenge ahead of them about how they're going to manage the COVID crisis again.
Yeah.
And it's still a crisis. And they shut things down so quickly in the spring that they didn't have a chance for any kind of spread. Right. Well, now they're trying to see if they can get things going. Although I saw Princeton going straight remote.
Yep.
So it came out today. Yeah. Princeton we can't bring them in.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting. All right. Major League Baseball. Yeah. Games are still being canceled.
They are.
But they're still playing.
They're still playing.
Yeah, they're still playing. Which, how are they making up these games?
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to. I was looking at the standings today, and there's some, people have missed 5-6 games.
Right, and they're going to miss 5 or 6 more.
Yeah. Did you see, speaking of the MLB, the possibility of a playoff bubble? Did you read that today?
No, I did not.
That came out today that they're taking a look at when they make it to the playoffs, if they can get there, I guess, that creating a bubble similar to the NBA, the NHL, for the playoffs, which would be interesting. They have to get there, though. And,
16 teams are making the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
And it might be the 16 remaining teams that... Seriously, it might
true.
be. And some of these teams that have tested positive in quarantine might only play 45 games.
Right.
Should they get into the playoffs?
No, of course not.
Of course not.
Of course not.
So it just might be a matter of attrition and survival.
It's true.
Who can get there and then create the bubble. We've seen the bubble seems to be working.
It does.
And
it does.
We'll talk about the other sports in a second.
There, yeah.
But the bubble seems to be working. The Red Sox, they're not as bad as they were last week.
Okay, they're 6-10 as of today.
6-10. They've lost a couple winnable games.
Yeah, it's funny when you look at the standing. It's true. You look at the standings; they're really only 4 games back behind the Yankees. The Yankees are 10-6.
But they're a game and a half out of the playoffs.
I know, which is crazy to think. And you're right. They've actually. I think I texted you last week. I really enjoyed watching some of the games, and I don't know. I'm always going to root for the Red Sox. And I kind of like rooting for the people that I've never heard of before. It's mostly pitching. It's
funny that you mentioned that because that's what I was thinking. I watched 3 or 4 innings last night. I don't know these names.
No.
It's
mostly the pitching. It's the pitching.
I don't know many of the position players right now.
Okay.
Benintendi's not in because
he's not playing well.
He's just god awful. Martinez wasn't, I don't think, in the game because he's playing. He's struggling. Devers was in. He had a big home run the other day.
Yeah. He had a great play the other day, too. See that bare hand?
Yeah. So, he's been in. Bogarts.
Yeah.
Bradley.
Yeah. Mitch Moreland.
And Christian Vasquez, who did not play. It was another catcher.
Yeah.
And otherwise than that, it's all new guys. Some of them have been playing really well. The Verdugo guy has been playing really well.
Yeah.
He replaced Mookie, and...
He's doing all right.
He's doing all right.
Yeah.
That's looking pretty good right now.
Yeah.
And I had put down Verdugo, Bogarts, and Moreland are carrying the team because is anybody else playing really well? Vasquez a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
But Benintendi, Martinez, and Devers, they're arguably 3 out of their 4 best players are not just struggling; they are horrific.
They are
for them. If they can start playing, we might have something going on there.
Yeah.
The pitching's still tough.
Pitching's awful. Yeah, it is. Especially when you see even some of the guys of the names that are really struggling.
They are
Britain and
let me get this right. They're 0-4 with when they do the opener. They don't have a designated starter.
Oh, right.
They have the opener. It was a bullpen game last night.
Yeah,
they're 0-4.
Yeah,
they're 6-6 when they throw out a starter.
A starter. Yeah.
I didn't care much if they want to do the opener or not. I do care after watching last night's game because it took forever.
That was the longest game ever.
It was, 15th game of the year, or whatever the number was, and 16th game of the year, and the opener pitched 1 inning. Ryan Brazier pitched 1 inning, and then it was just new pitcher after new pitcher after new pitcher.
Yeah.
That thing ended like 11:15 last night. It was a regular 9-inning game, right?
Yeah, I didn't watch the end of it, but you're right. I was still looking. I'm like, oh my gosh, the game's like. I was going through Twitter and it tells you.
Well, Tampa Bay was doing the same thing.
Yeah.
They used an opener and they were switching pitchers and so every beginning of every inning they're 8 warm-up pitches, throwing down.
Yep.
Work on the mound, work on your rosin bag, do all that kind of stuff, and it's just, oh my God, get it going.
Yeah.
I got a problem with that. Baseball has enough of an issue with the length of the games as it is, and now we have this opener situation.
Right. But you have to pitch, 3? You have to pitch to 3 batters. That's the minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah. That could you imagine, though, if it was just situational?
Well,
come in and pitch to 1 batter, okay, and then we need to warm up another guy? Like last night's game.
But if you look at the pitching line, they threw like 7 pitchers last night.
They did, yeah.
7.
I know.
And the Tampa threw 7 pitchers, too.
Mm-hmm. I hope it's not the new normal. Might be for the Red Sox.
Well, I'm a little worried that Hein Bloom came from Tampa, and they cannot have 4-hour games.
No.
During this, no fans. I mean, I tuned off, watched a movie, tuned back in. I missed 3 innings.
Yeah, right. It's so true.
It's just crazy. All right. Houston. I wanted to talk about Houston for a second because I'm enjoying watching Houston games.
Yeah. The other day with the A's.
With the A's, it's just there's some angry people at Houston.
Yeah. And it's funny because this is all without fans.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine if we were actually at games now? It'd be even worse.
It would be worse.
I mean, it would be.
Houston was a winner in the COVID thing because they're not having to face 162 angry fans in teams. Yeah. They're getting to face 60 of them with no fans.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of animosity towards Houston right now, and every series that they're in, there's drama.
Yeah.
And they're getting thrown at, and God, the trainer must be so busy for Houston. Just
I know.
Get the ice.
Did you see? So the pitching coach for Houston, he kind of was egging on the Oakland A's player the other day, and he ended up with a 20-game suspension.
They're not messing around.
The pitching coach, no, and the player got 5-game suspension.
I saw a funny meme that after the Oakland A's and Houston got in a fight, they suspended Joe Kelly another 8 games.
Yeah. Man, I love Joe Kelly. Miss him.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the NBA.
Yeah.
I'm actually enjoying watching these games.
Oh yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
It's just I love the background and the fans and the superimposed, and they got music and cheering and booing.
Yeah.
And the guys are into it. You wouldn't know, and maybe it's just the nature of basketball, but you would not know that there weren't fans there.
Right.
The way that the players are
Isn't it cool though that like other teams are watching the team? Yep. Like how cool is it? Like like the other night the Clippers were watching the game.
We said it's like an AAU tournament, and it really is. It's an AAU tournament where the guys are waiting for the next game.
Yeah, and they're checking them out, and they're saying a few things,
and they're rooting for the other players because they're all friends. And so
of course.
It's pretty good. Celtics, they're doing all right.
Yeah,
so they're
4-2.
They're starting to pick it up a little bit too.
Yeah.
I would like to see somebody play defense at some point.
Maybe, yeah. These really high-scoring games.
I had heard that one of the reasons why they might not be playing defense is because they don't want to catch the corona.
Oh, I don't know.
They don't want to get up into anybody's grill.
I don't know. They're all in a bubble. They're all fine.
Nobody's testing positive.
Yeah.
And they don't mess around. If somebody leaves the bubble, they're quarantined. Mm-hmm. And they're not messing around at all because somebody skipped out of town and went. No, somebody went to dinner with their friends.
Yeah,
something out like
and
that.
Yeah,
and you got quarantined 5 days.
Yeah,
boom.
Celtics though. They really beat up on the Raptors. That was good to see.
No, they're playing well. Marcus Smart is playing well, which is good and bad because the better he plays, the more shots he takes, the more shots he misses, and then Jaylen Brown looks really good, very athletic.
Mm-hmm. So the Celtics they've secured the 3. They can't get the 2 and they can't drop to the 4. So they've got the 3. Now they're just waiting to see. I mean, right now if it's ended today, it'd be Philadelphia, which we don't want Philadelphia. No. But there's there's so many teams. Miami's right in there. The Indiana Pacers. It could be any of those 3 because they're all within a game of each other with a couple games left.
Well, we had said this I think last week or the week before. It's going to be the team who wants to win more.
Yeah.
And the thing with Philadelphia is that I just don't think Joel Embiid is going to be motivated.
Yeah.
I think these teams have to stay in there for 3.5 months if they want to get to the finals into this bubble. And I think there's going to be a kind of a glass half full mentality if they get bounced. Like, I get to go home to my family.
Right. Yeah.
And go to whatever, my posse can join me now and all this kind of stuff. So I think we're going to see some attrition that way, that guys are just going to be like, yeah, I think we want to go. And Joel Embiid is somebody who, when he's motivated, he's really good. When he's not motivated, he's terrible.
Yeah.
And I think he could be one. Miami, they beat up on the Celtics pretty good without Jimmy Butler.
They did.
So I don't know if that's a great matchup.
Yeah.
Pacers, I think the Pacers are beat up.
I mean, I think they're going to end up with the 76ers, but who knows? Speaking of that, before we jump, how about the Suns? The Suns are undefeated, 6-0. Yeah, they still have a shot. It's very slim that they make the playoffs, but how awesome would that be? Like they came out and they look good.
They look good.
Yeah.
All right, NHL. speaking of not looking good,
Oh,
the
boy.
Bruins had their round robin, and they failed to win a game in the round robin. So they went back to how the NHL did it is they took teams in 1 through 4th place. We're going to have you guys do a round robin, play 3 games. Whoever has the best record will seed you 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, the Bruins were in 4th.
Yeah.
And they have drawn the Carolina Hurricanes, who are an angry team, a good team, and a bad matchup for the Bruins.
Okay.
Now the Bruins are coming off saying the round robin was just preseason. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's what losers do.
You know what? Yeah, it does matter because now you're the 4th seed.
Yeah, that's what losers do. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't think home ice is going to matter much because they're just playing in 2 rinks anyway.
There's no home ice.
You know, so I mean, I think in that respect, it's it's going to be okay. But I don't like that attitude. Like, oh, we weren't trying.
Oh, no big deal. Yeah, we're ready to play now that it matters. Yeah, I don't believe that. I hate that. You're right.
Wouldn't surprise me at this point if they just get swept by Carolina and they go home. 0-7.
Which would be just awful.
Terrible because they had the best record in the league when they stopped playing. They won the President's Cup.
Yeah.
They're just not looking good. They're flat. They don't seem like they want to be there. But nobody's tested positive.
Did you see that? Close to 20,000 tests.
Yeah.
Not a single one positive.
No.
Pretty amazing.
That's pretty amazing. That's Canada for you, and that's the bubble.
Yeah.
Canada seems
Yay,
to,
Canada.
Canada seems to know what they're doing.
Yeah, they do, and that's great. So we say it every week, but Major League Baseball really should pay attention to what the NBA and the NHL are doing, and the NFL, which we'll talk about in a second, should also pay attention to those.
So the NFL, they've opened up their training camps. I think that the NFL, unlike MLB, I think they're coming out strong saying, if you risk, if you're seen at a party, you're getting fined.
Yeah.
You're going to get fined. I don't know with all the details with that, how they're going to
But a fine
that.
isn't going to stop coronavirus.
No, it's not. The bubble's probably the only thing that's going to work, and I think it's going to be hard for the NFL to jump into a bubble midstream.
Oh, I agree with you.
So I give it less than a 50-50 shot that the NFL happens.
That the season happens.
That they get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I don't. On a different note, Patriots, we talked about all the players that are opting out, and there was a byproduct of that, is that the Pats have all this cap space now. They went from the last in the league of cap space to the second in the league of cap space because of all these guys. Because the guys that opted out are relatively big money guys.
Paid. Yeah.
So they picked up almost $40 million of cap space, and they're using it. They signed a running back today.
I saw that. Yeah.
From Houston and Miami. Help me out. What's his name? Remember?
I don't know his name.
I don't know his name. They signed Michael Jackson.
I mean,
Thriller,
baby.
and these are real players,
right,
that they're signing. I can't believe I forgot the running back's name.
I don't know. Is it Rice?
No, it's not Rice. Lamar.
I don't know. We'll send it out there. Maybe Allie and Timothy could find it for us.
Is it? I guess she
right.
gave us
They'll
the
get
thumbs
it. She
up.
gives thumbs up. Tell us who the running back they signed today is.
But
it does free up the cap space. But have you watched any of Bill's press conferences? They're still fantastic. They're all remote, right? But they're still great. It's still classic, Bill.
You're not learning a thing.
You're not learning a thing, and it's awesome.
Did you see he did guest commentary on a lacrosse game?
Did he really? Well, he's a lacrosse guy.
He's a lacrosse guy.
Yeah.
His daughter coaches lacrosse at somewhere, Holy Cross maybe, and he did, and he was naming guys that were drafted, and he comparing them to some guys to other guys. He knows his lacrosse.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool.
Awesome.
Speaking of lacrosse, we should probably have Ryder come in at some point.
Ryder
Garnsey,
yeah.
Playing in the PLL.
Yeah.
And he's one of their marquee players.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think
that'd be fun to have him on.
So I think that there's some hope with the Patriots just because of the cap space that they did create, and maybe filling in a few holes that they weren't able to fill in before.
So did you see? So some picks came out today as the AFC East. So had the Pats at like 5-11.
Really?
Yeah, so showing that the Miami was 7-9, but they had the Bills at 11-5.
Yeah,
interesting. So we'll see. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I think even if it's not Cam Newton, I think Stidham can win 9 games.
I think that I have a feeling the Patriots might surprise a few teams.
Yeah.
All right. It's time for Allie's game.
All right.
Do you have any idea what she's playing this week?
I have zero idea.
Can you remind me who won last week?
Yes, Mike Danais won last week, and I won the week before. So
I wasn't sure.
Yeah. I don't know what this game is. True or false? Athlete Edition. Oh, this is great. I like this. Okay. So it says Redskins quarterback Robert Griffin III was the very first starting quarterback in the NFL to be born in the 1990s.
You're first.
Redskins quarterback. I'm just going to say I have no idea, and this is... Allie, I already love this, so I'm going to say true.
I'm going to say true also.
Yes, Redskins quarterback Robert Griffin III was the very first starting QB in the NFL to be born in the 1990s.
Hold on a second, Allie. Don't go to the next question yet. Robert Griffin III, was he a bust or was he a... I mean,
he had a
first year?
He
was revolutionizing the quarterback position.
He had a good year or two, but yeah,
he
probably...
he had one good year.
All right, he's a bust.
I consider him a bust.
Yeah.
There was a lot of drama between if he was drafted number 1, I believe.
Yeah.
Who was the other quarterback at the time that was like is either Griffin or him? Andrew Luck.
Yeah.
I think it was Andrew Luck.
And
Both of them are out of the league.
Yeah.
All right.
Besides
being Miami Heat's guard, Ray Allen also plays drums.
Okay. Ray Allen, Mr. Three-Pointer.
I'm going to say false.
I am also going to say false. He plays guitar. Oh, piano? Okay. All right, he plays... Thank you, Allie. He plays piano.
All right, so
that's cool. That's cool that he's a musician. All right. Sebastian Janikowski's rookie contract included a clause which stated he had to return $32,000 to the team for any game time missed due to suspension. This is so bizarre. I'm going to say true.
I'm going to say true, too, because he was crazy when he came out.
He's a nut. Yeah.
Oh,
no! It's false. Wow. Okay. All right.
Maybe it was not his rookie contract that was. Maybe it was like a second contract.
Yeah, once they got to know him.
All right,
Mookie Betts was born in Nashville, Tennessee. That is true.
All right, well, I'm going to say true then since you took my spot. Turn.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Sorry about that, Michael. You can have the next one. All right. Oh,
David Price.
Allie, why do we this is a name
we
don't ever speak. It's like Voldemort from Harry Potter. We don't say this name.
Right, wait a minute. We can do some quick math here.
Read it first.
David Price was born August 25th, 1987. So 10, 20, 33. That puts him at 33. I'm going to say true.
I celebrate his birthday every year, so it's true.
1985.
False. Wow.
Okay.
All right. Quarterback Josh Freeman is currently ranked number 2 on the list of Tampa's all-time passers. Josh Freeman.
I think you're up.
I'm going to say true.
I'm going to say false. Darn it.
Oh, true.
I figured Trent Dilfer,
Trent Dilfer must be number 1, right? I don't know. All right, yours up this.
Tom Brady first signed with the Patriots in 2001. I'm going to say false.
False. Mike is the best mower in the Lakes region. I am going to say hands down true, true, true. You get to vote for yourself.
She said wrong slide.
Oh. Shoot.
Michael Jordan scored 32,292 points throughout his career.
All right. 32,292 points throughout his career. What do you think?
I'm going to say false.
I'm going to say false as well. Oh. That was so specific. Maybe we should have gone with true.
I know.
All right. Allie and Timothy are the best producers.
True.
I'm going to say true, although I have a preference of one over the other. Thank you, Allie. LeBron James has won 2 championships.
I think you're up.
No, it's your turn.
False.
Yeah, it is false.
3 championships.
Oh, that was awesome. Who's the winner of that one? The winner is Allie Champagne. She is the winner.
All right, that's going to do it for us and Mike and the Hoss. Thank our sponsors, Morrissey's Porch and Pub,
Skelly's Market,
and Downtown Gorilla Cafe. Thank you, guys. And next week, we have another game.
Yeah.
I know Allie's been working on that. Yeah. And maybe we'll get some ideas as far as what's going to be happening with some of the
fall sports.
That'd
be great.
Maybe we'll get a little bit closer. And
all right. Hey, go Knights.
Go Knights. Have a good week.